She had everything: private jets, oceanside mansions, power, control. But she had lost the one thing she couldn't buy back: her son. When billionaire Margaret Langston finally visited his grave after years of silence, she expected tears, maybe even regret. What she didn't expect was a black waitress quietly sobbing beside his tombstone, with a little boy calling her son Dad. What happened next? It would shatter her world and change it forever.
Introduce Margaret Langston, a tough, stone-hearted billionaire businesswoman. Her son Ethan died 3 years ago in a mysterious car crash she never publicly commented on. For the first time, she visits his grave, alone, without PR, cameras, or assistants. The graveyard is quiet, haunted, but someone else is already there. Flashbacks showing her distant relationship with Ethan lay groundwork for her guilt, denial, and the emotional walls she built. As she approaches the grave, she notices a young black woman sitting in front of it, head bowed, crying, with a 3-year-old boy in her lap. For 3 years, she avoided the truth. For 3 years, she buried her grief under meetings and money. But today, the past stood in front of her, crying. The woman didn't look up. The child clutched a crayon drawing of a man, tall, brown-haired, smiling. Margaret's breath caught. That was Ethan. Margaret confronts the woman, Tasha Williams, a waitress from a diner in a town her son once lived in. Their conversation is tense. Margaret accuses her of staging this. Tasha doesn't flinch. She shows Margaret photos, text messages, and one gut-punching fact. Ethan had been in love with her. They were planning to marry, and that little boy was his son. This chapter is emotional. Include tension, denial, flashbacks of Ethan defying his mother's elitist views, and his choice to disappear from her life. Your son, he loved me, and he loved his son. He used to say, "Mom won't understand. She'll never forgive me for being happy." Margaret wanted to scream, to call security, to run. But the boy's eyes, those same gray eyes she once kissed goodnight, held her in place. Margaret starts digging into Ethan's final months. She finds hidden emails, a resignation letter he never sent, and a voicemail where he confessed he felt like he was being followed. Slowly, Margaret uncovers that Ethan's death may not have been an accident, and her own company may have been involved. This chapter pivots from emotional to investigative, adds suspense, corporate conspiracy undertones, and internal conflict as Margaret questions the empire she built. It wasn't just grief, it was guilt. Somewhere deep in her gut, she knew she had driven him away. The call logs, the deleted files, the missing dashcam footage. Ethan didn't die alone. He died running from something. Margaret meets Tasha again, this time not to confront, but to apologize. She offers full support for the boy, school, protection, even a trust fund. But Tasha doesn't want money. She wants truth. Margaret makes a bold decision. She publicly confesses her silence, calls out the corruption in her company, and vows to find justice for Ethan. He doesn't need your billions. He needs to know his father wasn't a mistake. For the first time in decades, Margaret Langston did something without thinking of power, profit, or pride. She reached out and hugged her grandson.